offensively to get in a rhythm early?
We did. I think the slant to Chris Turner. I say Chris Turner. Preston Turner. I'm thinking back in '91. Preston Turner, the slant, perfect ball by Mitchell, and Preston, great catch. He's been catching like that all preseason, and then he outran them all for the touchdown. And seemed like we hit Jonathan Stewart on a long slant. I believe we hit Preston again later. Cole Adams over here. Jaden Williams it seemed like we had somebody score different every touchdown except Preston got 2, but we had about 5 different people score. I thought offensively we did well. I thought we threw the ball, made some big plays in the air. I think we could have run the ball better. Of course, Kendall cramped, but I thought we did a good job overall offensively, period, and that was a far cry from a year ago. A year ago, we were terrible on offense in this game. And we were certainly, I reminded our guys of that a few times, and we played much better tonight. Defensively, what can you say? With a shutout right off the bat in the season against anybody is a great thing.
Coach, you mentioned playing a lot better right away, and it looks like last year, not to say that you didn't have team speed, but it was very young speed. And this year, it seems like there's speed everywhere, defensively, offensively, and you guys are trying to get as many people the ball as possible.
We're a faster football team for certain than we were a year ago. We have more depth at wide receiver than we've had probably since I've been here. We've got 7 or 8 wide receivers who can play. Probably 4 or 5 of them are seniors. We have good depth at running back. Mitchell, we have good depth at quarterback with Gibbons and Tarwater, Peyton Sharp. Offensive line played pretty well compared to a year ago, certainly. So, we've got speed, especially on the defensive side, though. We close on the ball real well.
That was also one thing that was very impressive. Offensive and defensive line. It seems like you could basically do anything you wanted, blitzing-wise defensively and offensively. I don't think any of our quarterbacks ever got touched.
I don't recall much happening back there until way, way late, but I was really impressed with, in a lot of cases, our protection, and very, very thrilled, not pleased, but thrilled with the pressure we put on their quarterback. That's something we haven't done a lot of in recent years, and that's something we did a lot of tonight, and it was very effective.
Coach, one last thing that we were talking about during the broadcast there, your punt formation. I don't think that we have seen anything like that. Was that something that you all came up with? Did you take it from somebody? Clearly it's working. I think Jacob Bervin, he must be averaging 50 yards a punt. He had a couple of great ones. Where'd you guys come up with that?
At a clinic. We went to Cincinnati and went to a clinic up there, a Glazier clinic, and Coach Wyatt saw that. And then the next time that guy spoke, we both went in there together, and we decided we were going to do that. And it's unique. You got 2 punters back there, and you don't know which one's going to punt it, and you're kind of rugby styling it, and it's a different twist for sure.
Another thing that was very impressive in the special teams is Tyler Dunham did a great job, minus the one that went out of bounds on pop-up kicks. Is that something that you guys work specifically for this game or continue going forward? Because it looked really well as your coverage.
Our theory or our philosophy is that if we can't get the ball in the end zone, we're going to try to pop it up more times than not. Some games we may choose to kick it deep because Tyler gets some great height on it. We just can't seem to get it in the end zone. We're somewhere 10 in, but never in the end zone. So we'll just see that a lot because that's almost unreturnable.
Coach, last couple things is you got Dobbins Bennett next week, which is obviously probably one of our biggest rivals in most wins, and it's just a great atmosphere, and you'll be going home to Blankenship. What's it going to take to get ready for Dobbins Bennett next week?
Well, Dobbins Bennett, as you say, is a big rival. Speaking of big, they're a big physical football team. They'll be a tremendous challenge for our offensive and defensive fronts for sure. They'll be a good football team. I'm sure I don't know what the score was, but I'm sure they beat Tennessee High tonight, probably handily. They're going to be good. They're going to be a load. And, I don't know, without scrimmages or anything, we haven't seen them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I know a little bit about the personnel because they have a lot of guys back from last year, but, we'll see film tonight, so we'll know more then.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the win, and we look forward to speaking to you next week.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
David, we'll send it back to you as we wrap it up. The Wildcats win 40-0 over Hardin Valley.
Thank you very much. As James said, Oak Ridge victorious tonight by a final score of 40-0 over the hosting Hardin Valley Hawks. Looking at the statistics, First for Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge led on the ground by Kendall Jackson. He had 15 rushes for 121 yards. That was an average of 8.1 yards per carry. His long tonight was 24 yards. Trey Rowe carried the ball 9 times for the Wildcats, totaling 20 yards of offense on the ground. Jaden Williams had 2 carries for 12 yards. Cole Adams had an 11-yard carry. Jacob Bervin had a 4-yard carry. Jalen Hayward had 1 carry for no gain. Jason Coates had a carry, netting -1 yard. Peyton Sharp had 2 carries, netting -1 yard. And then Mitchell Gibbons had 5 carries for -12 yards. As a team, the Wildcats tonight rushed the ball 37 times, totaling 154 yards on the ground. That's an average of 4.2 yards per carry. Through the air, the Wildcats were 7 of 17 for 267 yards passing. Mitchell Gibbons, the starting quarterback for the Wildcats, he was 6 for 15 for 208 yards. No interceptions. Hayden Tarwater came in the ball game in the fourth quarter. He had a reception for 59 yards. It was a touchdown. He was 1 for 1 on the night. And then Peyton Sharp came in late. He was 0 for 1 for the night. So as a team, the Wildcats were 7 of 17 for 267 yards through the air. Receiving for the Wildcats, Preston Turner, he had 2 receptions, both of them for touchdowns. 91 yards was his long. Jonathan Stewart had a touchdown reception, totaling 56 yards. Brandon Hayward had a 27-yard reception. Jaden Williams had 2 receptions, totaling 20 yards, and then Cole Adams had a 14-yard reception. So as a team, the Wildcats had 154 yards on the ground. They had 267 yards through the air for a total offense tonight of 421 total offensive yards. Wildcats had 10 first downs in the ballgame. They were penalized 4 times, totaling 30 yards. Now looking at Hardin Valley, they were led on the ground by Isaac Hillis, number 40. He had 2 carries for 30 yards. Marquette Hayes came in late for the Hawks. He carried the ball 9 times, totaling 12 yards on the ground. Ryan Nickel had 6 carries for 11 yards. Caleb Smith, 2 carries, 9 yards. Adrian Garcia had 4 carries for 3 yards. Ty Denton had 1 carry for 1 yard. And then the quarterback, Sam Simpson, 6 carries, -22 yards. So as a team, the Hawks had 44 yards on the ground on 30 carries. That's an average of 1.5 yards per carry. Passing, Sam Simpson, quarterback for the Hawks, the starter, he was 6 of 20 for 95 yards. He had 2 interceptions on the night. His long reception was 24 yards. Caleb Smith had 1 attempt that was unsuccessful, as did Marquette Hayes. So as a team, the Hawks were 6 of 22 for 95 yards through the air. Receiving, Ty Gentry had 2 receptions for 44 yards. Jacob Green had a 19-yard reception. Briley Love had a 15-yard reception. Michael Spurgeon had a 14-yard reception. And number 16, Zach Passafume, had a 3-yard reception. So, as I said, the Hawks on the ground had 44 yards on 30 carries. They had 95 yards on 6 completions for a total offense tonight of 139 yards. The Hawks had 6 first downs in the ballgame, and they were penalized 4 times as well, but they had 25 yards in penalties. Looking at the team side by side, on the ground, rushing yards, Oak Ridge 154, Hardin Valley 44. Passing, Oak Ridge had 267 passing yards, Hardin Valley 95. Total offense, Oak Ridge with 421 total offensive yards tonight, Hardin Valley 139. First downs, Oak Ridge had 10, Hardin Valley 6. Penalties, each team had 4 penalties, Oak Ridge totaling 30 yards and Hardin Valley totaling 25. Looking at the scoring summary, the Wildcats got on the board early in the first quarter with a 91-yard pass from Mitchell Gibbons to Preston Turner. The extra point was no good by Tyler Dunham, and the Wildcats led 6-0. With 11:04 remaining in the second quarter, Kendall Jackson gets in the end zone on an 18-yard run. The point after attempt by Dunham this time was good, and the Wildcats led 13-0. Again, in the second quarter, the Wildcats get on the board with a 56-yard touchdown pass from Mitchell Gibbons to Jonathan Stewart with 3:59 remaining in the second quarter. The point after attempt by Dunham was good, and the Wildcats led 20-0 at the half. In the third quarter, Wildcats weren't done as they score again with 7:22 remaining in the third quarter on a 14-yard pass from Mitchell Gibbons to Cole Adams this time. Point after attempt by Dunham was no good. At this point, the Wildcats led 26-0. With 3:24 remaining in the third quarter, 12-yard run by Jaden Williams. Point after attempt by Dunham was good, and the Wildcats led 33-0. Final score was by Hayden Tarwater connecting with Preston Turner on a 15-yard pass, touchdown pass that is. Point after attempt by Camden Malcody was good, and the Wildcats victorious tonight by a final score of 40-0. David?
Thanks a lot, Mark. Appreciate yours and Shauna's good work here. The final score, as Mark said, 40-0. Appreciate all our camera guys. We had a whole bunch of them tonight. Lee Wexler, Bryson Brown, Kristen Rosas Rodriguez, Tyler Morris, Matthew Charles. Appreciate them for doing the camera work. And we appreciate James Branson for all his work and Brian Bennett at the station. Our next broadcast of Oak Ridge High School football will be coming up on Friday. The Wildcats will take on the Dobbins-Bennett Indians. 7:30 kickoff from Blankenship Field. For all the people I mentioned before, this is David Clary saying so long, everybody.